everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV tonight's broadcast of the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series here from the beautiful Daytona International Speedway. I am Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Mitchell Adams. And Mitchell, great to be back by the beach here in Daytona. It is definitely going to be one heck of a race here tonight, as all of these drivers will try to find glory at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway.
That's right, one of the most historic tracks in all of racing, and one of the more challenging too. These guys are going to be high speed and side by side for a lot of this race, and this is the older version of Daytona too, so they're going to be a little more bumpy than they're used to. So definitely these guys are going to have a handful, but they're going to try and put on a really good show for us here tonight.
That they are, and the number 62 machine right there going backwards on your screen. You wouldn't believe it, but fastest driver currently here tonight. Definitely wasn't going all too fast there, going backwards on the racetrack. Just as I panned to him, you know how that goes here. If you've been watching us on 3Y TV, the commentator says something and the opposite happens. But it is currently Colin Ullery, JT Poole, Andrew Himmelman, Alonso CHOCANO, and John Doble, the 5 fastest trucks here tonight, as we have 32 seconds left here in the practice session. You're looking at the 3rd fastest driver, Andrew Himmelman. You'll see the rest of the field scroll on by at the top of your screen, but I believe that Mitchell, you have the point standings after 3 races here this season. It's pretty close up at the top.
It's definitely a close battle. Your points leader into this race is JT Poole. He has about a 25-point lead over Chris Darling in 2nd, and then from there they're all really close. William Kirwan's in 3rd, Evan Gilbert 4th, and Mike Tellier your top 5 in points. But definitely a close points battle, and with the way this series points format is, it can be really easy to close that gap back up.
That is definitely the case, as the practice session is going to end here. We really thank each and every one of you for joining the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series here on 3Y TV. We're now jumping into the Bamauto Pole Award shootout. We will see which of these drivers will pick up the Bamauto Pole Award here tonight. Out of Hudsonville, Michigan is Bamauto. There's a link in the description, bamautogarage@gmail.com. If you want to hit them up, if you're located anywhere close to Hudsonville, Michigan, make sure you check out our friends over at Bamauto here tonight. Folks, we got drivers out there on the racetrack trying to get their lap times in. There is Alonso CHOCANO, the 05 machine, hustling his way out onto the race circuit. Very similar paint scheme here tonight, and a little bit confusing because very similar to the number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. Looks like he might have actually gone over that yellow line there, Mitchell, and he's going to have to take a tow back to pit road. But there is Evan Gilbert in the number 28 machine going out there onto the racetrack right now.
Yeah, one win already one win already this season, I believe, for Evan Gilbert, as he's going out for his qualifying lap. Definitely qualifying really easy to get wrong here at Daytona, where you're pretty much flat out all the way around, and it's really just about building up as much speed as you can and holding as straight a wheel as you can. So definitely you're going to see a lot of drivers, some people get closer to that wall than others, but definitely qualifying here can be one of the more challenging places to qualify, just because of how minimal the mistakes have to be in order to get a good time in.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be on the button here tonight if you want to get to victory lane. We're right on board with one of the drivers who's up there in the point standings, having a good opening 3 races to the championship. We're right on board with William Kirwan right here coming to the stripe here. And Mitchell, you mentioned that this racetrack is very bumpy. This is old legacy Daytona. And let's go on board here with William Kirwan. And Mitchell, why don't you talk the fans through a lap here around Daytona?
Yeah, really what he's doing right now is there's a lot of bumps on that inside line here in both the turns. So really he's just kind of all up in the wheel, kind of trying to hang on to the car and keep it from going down. Here on the straightaways, it's really, in this setup, the truck just wants to move to the sides, and you're trying to keep it as straight as you can and trying not to use any of the wheel. And then he's going to go into the turn again, and you might be able to see some of the bumps as he has to move the wheel just a little bit, but he's still trying to keep it just about as straight as he can to not scrub off speed. And then it flattens out here on the exit, and just trying to hold the wheel steady again coming to the line.
Yeah, and he comes through the trial oval here right across the line. And the number 52 machine of William Kirwan will complete his second lap here in the number 52 machine, but not picking up any time on lap number 2. Looks like he's going to be starting well back in the field here tonight. Christopher Darling in the number 11 machine. We saw him go purple at the bottom of the screen. That means he was the fastest in both sectors 1 and 2 here, and he jumped to the top of the board. But as I say that, Robert Kenny, the number 34 machine, jumps to the top of the board, and now he's deposed from the top spot as Evan Gilbert, the number 28 Toyota Tundra, going to jump up to the top of the board here, trying to pick up the BAM Auto Pole Award here at Daytona International Speedway for race number 4 of the GTR Simulators Superspeedway Series here tonight. Not sure what is up with the capitalization of the I there in GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. We want to give a big shout out, however, to our friends over at SimShots Racing, sponsoring tonight's event. Folks, if you have a series, a iRacing series, and you want to get some quality pictures, as I said, it's funny, I said series and my Siri picked up. But if you have an iRacing series and you want some quality pictures, make sure you check out our friends over at SimShots, one of the sponsors here of the GTR Simulators Superspeedway Series. But we have a new driver atop the board right there. The number 14, Stephen Ford. Mitchell goes top of the board.
Yep, and a lot of the lap times really close. There's actually, I believe, some identical lap times in between Robert Kenny and Chris Darling for the third position. So definitely qualifying close, which is what we expect when we come to these super speedways. And Stephen Ford just put in a slightly better lap, and he looks like he might take the pole here.
Yeah, we got a couple of drivers trying to hustle their way around the racetrack, but they're not going to get their second lap time in, as the checkered flag is going to be thrown here on the qualifying session. So the BAM Auto Pole Award does go to the number 14 machine of Stephen Ford here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's starting lineup for all of you folks back at the home, and we will be checking in on you here in just a second back home, because we want to interact with the folks that we have in the chat here for the SimShots Racing 150. Stephen Ford on the pole in the number 14 machine. Evan Gilbert in second. Congratulations to Stephen Ford for picking up tonight's Bamautogarage Pole Award. Row number 2, Robert Kenny, Christopher Darling there in fourth. Zach Howell, John Doble on row number 3. Ben Adams was up here in the 3Y TV booth. We'll check in with him here as the race goes on in the number 5 machine. Jeffrey Vickery will be rolling off from 8th position. On row number 5 and rounding out your top 10, Kyle Lewis and Ben Mashburn there, Mitchell.
At JT Poole start just outside the top 10 in the 11th position with Justin White to his outside. Colin Ullery, defending series champion, starts in the 13th position with his SimShots Racing teammate Andrew Himmelman to his outside. Shane Ledoux will be 15th with William Kirwan in 16th. Jeff Wyatt in 17th rounds out the drivers that took time in qualifying. Then it's Jason Gracias, Alonso, CHOCANO, and Stephen DOSIAK Jr. rounding out your top 20.
And then just to take you through the rest of your field here tonight, rolling off from the 21st position on the inside of row number 11, that will be Dalton Hayes and Nathan Maurer, the 971, to his outside. Then back behind them, Mike Floppy Tellier, the winner from last week at iRacing Superspeedway in the number 97 machine. He'll be starting on the inside of row number 12 next to Doug Neal in the 78 machine. And then rounding out your field on row number 13, that'll be Matthew Rodriguez and Jason Shu. Matthew is new to the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series, making his first start here tonight in the Steak and Shake number 57 machine. Well, Mitchell, it's going to be a long race here tonight. The pace car just now starting to roll out there onto the racetrack. And, you know, we have seen here over the first couple of weeks in this series that you want to avoid the big wreck. But if you avoid one, or if you don't avoid one, I should say, not that big of a deal. You do have a fast repair, but last week at iRacing Superspeedway, we saw a couple of big accidents. We saw a couple of drivers involved in those, and it was Mike Tellier who laid back, avoided those incidents, and really pounced at the end of the race.
And that's a really difficult track in iRacing Superspeedway because it's so much more high speed compared to a lot of these other tracks we go to, and this is another very challenging racetrack because, like we talked about in qualifying, the bumps are really hard to control the truck, and the drivers are going to have their hands full because these trucks like to step out one way or the other. So I'd say this is definitely one of the more challenging tracks, and I think in the end the driver that can kind of adjust to that the best is going to be the one that walks away with the win tonight.
That is definitely the case. We go on board here with Chris Darling as he gets set to race here around Daytona International Speedway. 60 laps here tonight. Here's John Doble. Looking a little bit further back, here is Jeffrey Vickery. Kyle Lewis on the inside of row number 5 here in the number 18 machine. They are all starting inside the top 10 and getting ready to go green flag. Pace car heads down pit road. Stephen Ford in the threat level Midnight Chevrolet gets us underway. We're green flag at Daytona. Good start by the outside groove. Here comes Evan Gilbert and the number 28 machine. Mitchell, I wasn't expecting that high line to get such a good restart. Usually the race leader is able to kind of control the restart and gets a good jump, but there looks like Evan Gilbert getting a good jump on the number 14 machine, and they're side by side down the backstretch. You got a couple of drivers dropping down below the apron back there, trying to drop back through the field, and some like Robert Kenny here in the number 34 machine. He's just dropping to the back. I would think, Mitchell, he's just trying to save his stuff as he has Sim Speed Shop on the side of that number 34 machine.
Yeah, I'd say probably trying to keep that truck clean, as 60 laps can take a while here. Looking back up front, though, I was, like you said, really impressed with the start that outside lane got. Not only was Evan Gilbert able to slot down in front of your pole sitter, but so was Chris Darling in the 11. So that outside lane, really powerful on that restart. Probably got hooked up really well, but definitely watch later in the race if we get some restarts, the leaders to keep that in mind when they're making their lane choice.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of that higher groove. Oh man, were we 3 wide down the backstretch? We might be 2 wide for the race lead. But the number 14, your Bamauto Pole Award winner, Stephen Ford, getting shuffled back now to about the 5th or 6th position as John Doble using that high line. And just as I was about to say, I've always been a big fan of the high line here at this Legacy Daytona. There aren't as many bumps up there on the top side of the racetrack. So, Mitchell, it has always been my thought that you can kind of stay hooked up a little bit better on that higher groove because you don't have as many bumps throwing around the race truck. And so I've always felt like you can get a better run up there. But here comes John Doble. He's going to drop to the low side of the racetrack. But look at the 24, Ben Mashburn. His race, folks, didn't even make it 7 laps last week at iRacing Superspeedway. And here tonight, as again, the 14 machine, Stephen Ford dropping down there below the yellow line. He's going to have to drop back to the tail end of the field here, trying to hook up with his teammate there. And number 12 is Shane Ledoux. Looks like he's going to fall outside the top 10, but up at the front. Oh, contact! Evan Gilbert goes around right there in the 28 machine, right in front of Shane Ledoux. Ledoux might have got a piece of that, but that will bring out the caution. And somehow, Mitchell, that wasn't a big accident. We just really had one car go around. That is a shocker. You never have that at Daytona.
I say it was a great driving from a lot of those guys up front, and have to take a look here on the 3-wide TV replay exactly what happened to Evan Gilbert, who I believe was near the lead. Looks like they were 2 wide going into turn 3, and maybe just a little contact, maybe got up the track a little bit. I couldn't tell who that was on top, but yeah, it just looks like a little bit of contact, and great job by everyone around him avoiding that spinning cars. He was in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, gets into it with the 24, Ben Mashburn, who I just mentioned. His race didn't last but 7 laps last week at iRacing Superspeedway. Just a little bit of contact there. And, man, the 8 of Andrew Himmelman barely avoiding it. Look at Ben Adams there in the number 5 machine. We're going to have to get a word with our in-race reporter in the SimShots number 5 machine. But somehow the 28 kind of just got turned around there. And Shane Ledoux might have got a piece of that. Hopefully that's not a whole lot of damage on the front end of the 12. Doesn't look like it. And that is a stellar save out of the number 28 machine to not really get that truck that badly damaged.
Yeah, he did a great job keeping that truck down the racetrack. You saw he almost went up into Andrew Himmelman in the 8, but was able to keep it out of him. And Shane Ledoux, the only driver I think really going to have any kind of damage from that incident. It was just great driving from the guys around him, and it's great driving from Evan Gilbert too there to keep it out of the trucks around him.
Look at Chris Darling sneaking on through that as well in the number 11 machine down there. That was impressive. for driver of the number 11 machine. Let's see if we can get another look and see what happened there to Chris Darling. Here we go, on board. They're going to go well back here. Let's see if maybe we can... Here we go. This will make a little bit more sense. Here going down the backstretch. On board with Christopher Darling. Watch this contact. It happens right there. The 28 machine gets sideways, and Darling says, you know what? I'm just going to drop down to the bottom side of the racetrack. See ya later, folks. And he's going to gain... Man, trying to go back up on the apron. Almost lost control of it. But that is impressive for the whole field to avoid the spinning number 38 machine there on lap number 3. First caution flag of the night coming out. We're going to see if we can get a quick look on board with the number 5 machine of Ben Adams, our in-race reporter here tonight in the SimShots number 5 machine, because he had a pretty hefty moment here too. There gets the 28 going loose, and oh man, just goes up high and gets around it. There, Mitchell.
Yeah, looking at it afterwards and seeing the save, it definitely is a lot less scary than if you're the driver behind the wheel. So great job by Chris Darling and Ben Adams both for finding their way around. As we look back up front, John Doble, your race leader, after a 6th place starting position. Ben Mashburn in that 24 we talked about started 10th. He's now up to 2nd already, and Andrew Himmelman up from 14th. JT Poole up from 11th, so a lot of guys making quick work in just maybe 4 laps of green flag racing to work well up through the field here, Peter.
Now let's see if we can get a quick word with driver of the number 5 machine, Ben Adams. Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going?
Well, it's going well up here in the booth. You might need a new pair of underwear, though, after that incident that happened right there. First off, how's the truck driving, and what about that incident?
Bumpy, first of all. I mean, you can't imagine how many bumps are on this old track. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just bouncing you to death. Turn your force feed back down. And then, as far as the wreck, Chris, he went low, and then all of a sudden, man, there's the truck right in front of me. So I just locked her down, turned right, and held it together somehow. I don't know how.
Well, you definitely were able to avoid that incident there. Definitely going to be an interesting night, Ben. Best of luck here. We'll check in with you as the race goes on and we get these caution flags. Hopefully we don't see all too many caution flags, and maybe this will be the only time we get to check in with you here tonight. But best of luck, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, man. I look forward to it.
All right, well, that is a driver of the number 5 machine, driving for SimShots Racing. Got SimShots on the hood here in tonight's SimShots Racing 150 here at Daytona International Speedway. But I'll tell you what, Mitchell, we're about to go back green flag racing here in just a minute, because it looks like the lights are off on the iRacing pace car.
Yeah, and Ben Mashburn already looking for the race lead there under caution. Is John Doble going to lead the field back to green? He's got Andrew Himmelman pushing him. Ben Mashburn's on his outside with points leader JT Poole pushing him as we're getting ready. The iRacing pace car ducks back in pit road, and John Doble hits the gas pedal. Here they come back to green.
Green flag back in the air. Like you mentioned, John Doble leading him back to the ring, gets a good jump out there in the number 3 machine with a big shot from the number 8 of Andrew Himmelman. I know we got some Andrew Himmelman fans, but Himmelman going to jump up to the high side of the racetrack. No, he drops back down to the back bumper of the number 3 machine. Now he's going to jump to the top side, trying to get a push from the number 24, Ben Mashburn. We know Mashburn is a fantastic pusher here in the GTR Simulator's Superspeedway series, and we are side by side down the back stretch, and it looks like maybe Andrew Himmelman has a little bit of a nose in front as we go into turn number 3.
Yeah, I think he was looking to the outside because I think he had thought that 24 and 26 got hooked up. I think they ended up being a little bit farther behind than he thought, so he ducked back down, but then I think he saw him coming again. So a lot of quick reaction from Andrew Himmelman, but barely with his nose in front of John Doble. Himmelman will lead that lap.
So Andrew Himmelman in the SimShots Chevrolet leading the SimShots 150 here on lap number 8. And like I mentioned, Ben Mashburn, a fantastic pusher, was able to get that number 8 to the race lead, but John Doble, Chris Darling come roaring back through turn number 1 and 2. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side action here tonight. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side action all season long here in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. Big shout-out to our series sponsor here tonight. If you want your own iRacing simulator, make sure you check them out. GTR Sim, you get a little bit of a bonus code there to go online, get a little bit of a discount on one of those GTR simulators. Let them know that 3 Wide TV and the National Sim Racing Association sent you. They will be very appreciative of that, and we're very appreciative of both GTR simulators and everyone joining us in the chat right now. And just a quick look at the chat, as they go side by side for the race lead. Tana Himmelman, Jason Bean, Steven Dosiak saying it's not Taco Tuesday. No, it isn't. It's Thursday last time I looked, which means it's race day here on 3 Wide TV in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series. Jason Bean saying, love Andrew, but tonight I'm pulling for my best bud Ben. Well, we got to have a quick word with that number 5 machine here a little while ago, but definitely going to be fun. Thank you guys for joining us here on the 3 Wide TV broadcast. It is Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine who is out front, but John Doble's going to jump to the high side in front of Ben Mashburn. So a little bit of trading spaces on lap number 9 as Doble now leads that high groove there, Mitchell.
Yeah, pretty aggressive racing in the first 10 laps of this race. We've seen a lot of lead changes and a lot of guys moving around lanes. There was nearly contact the lap before, I think, from the second row back. These guys got really close, and I looked kind of at the beginning of the straightaway, and Andrew Himmelman wasn't there, and then I looked again, and he was up in the race lead. So a lot of quick works. There's a slow car down on the apron there, but 3 wide headed into turn 3. John Doble on the top. Andrew Himmelman kind of shooting up the inside lane. Oh, they're almost 3 wide for the lead. Is maybe Himmelman has a run? Yeah, 3 wide for the race lead. Chris Darling, John Doble. Looks like Andrew Himmelman going to stick his nose in front to lead that lap. He's taking JT Poole through with him.
And if I'm John Doble right now, I'm backing out of this. I don't want to be 3 wide, not at this bumpy version of Daytona. Maybe the modern version of Daytona, that's nice and smooth, but 3 wide here just does not work, and I think John Doble might have just scraped the outside wall there through turn number 2. You saw some sparks fly from that top groove, but here comes the number 26 machine, JT Poole, the Irwin Tools Ford F-150, with help from last week's race winner. Excuse me, not last week's race winner. That is Alonso CHOCANO in the 05 machine, throwing me off there. Very similar paint scheme to Mike Floppy Tellier. Mike is running inside the top 10 right now in the high groove in his number 97 truck, but it is JT Poole here. Looks like he is going to lead lap number 11 as we have 11 laps in the books here tonight at Daytona.
Yeah, we've seen JT Poole be strong all night. We talked about he's your points leader coming in as Alonso CHOCANO looking to the inside. Got a bit of a run on JT Poole. He's got Chris Darling pushing him, and CHOCANO will stick his nose out into the race lead. But that's just like we talked about. There's really is, I think they're going 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. I can't tell, but really just a lot of great racing we're seeing so far from these GTR Superspeedway Series drivers. But I think it's been a lot of different drivers up front, and that's something we'd like to see, Peter. And that's one of the good things about these Superspeedways is that there's a lot of comers and goers as we ride on board now with Andrew Himmelman right up on the bumper of Chris Darling, I believe, for that race. And Darling will slot down low, and now Himmelman with a run for the race lead.
Yeah, Himmelman in the number 8 machine, trying to use that high line to his advantage now with a push from JT Poole. Just a little bit of musical chairs up at the front of the field here. 12 laps in the rear here. We've reached the 1/5 race distance here tonight. Folks, thank you for joining us here on 3 Wide TV here for tonight's GTR Simulators Truck Series as they go double file down the backstretch. And look at JT Poole. He says, you know what? I want to get back up to the front in the number 26 Irwin Tools machine. Drops down, leaves Andrew Himmelman hanging out there in the SimShots Racing number 8 machine, and it will be the 26 to the front. But now here comes Chris Darling in the number 11. He says, you know what? I want to lead the race. This is just impressive stuff, just trading spots here in the early running. And I'm just getting a little bit antsy. If I'm one of these drivers, Mitchell, you're racing so hard on lap number 13, lap number 14 now, that you just think that disaster is going to strike at some point. There is a group of trucks right here. Evan Gilbert, Shane Ledoux, Jason Shue in this group, as well as Jeffrey Vickery, who are quite a ways back from the lead pack. Probably just wondering when that lead pack is going to have the big one.
Yeah, I think it could be a question of when, especially with the kind of driving we're seeing. Everybody's really wanting that race lead. And wins. We're seeing still 2x2 throughout much of the field. I like that single file position. I don't like being quite that far away from the pack when I'm driving. I always like to be sniffing the draft of the lead pack, but definitely not a bad play to kind of get out of this battle for the lead we've been watching and ride around, try and save that faster pair and save that truck for the later part of this race.
Let's highlight some of the drivers that we have yet to highlight here tonight. Running inside the top 10 is the number 86 machine of Jeff Wyatt right now. You see him in the red and white number 86, Old Guy Racing F-150 right there. He does have your Bamauto Pole Award winner right there, the 14 right behind him, Stephen Ford. Stephen DOSIAK in the number 55 right there. He is racing the Total Nonstop Racing 55 Chevy Silverado. He's running in 13th right now. Justin White, who's been up here in the 3-wide TV booth, in the number 2 Simbach Chevy Silverado. He's running in 14th. Robert Kenny, who dropped to the back of the field in the number 34. He is running 15th at the moment. He started up there in the 3rd position here tonight. Matthew Rodriguez, new to the GTR Simulator Truck Series, just joined the league today. He's running 16th, excuse me. William Kirwan, the 52. He's running in the 17th spot right now in his Ford F-150. And then we, a little bit further back, Dalton Hayes, Doug Neal, and Nathan Maurer kind of rounding out your top 20. Zach Howell, Kyle Lewis kind of on the back half of this lead train right now, which is, by my math, 22 trucks strong. But we have a new race leader up at the front of the field. Well, we've been talking about that. Alonso CHOCANO in the 05 machine was able to get to the front, but we go 3 wide for the race lead as they go through the tri-oval. And Chris Darling. Did Darling lead that lap? If so, it was by a fraction of an inch, but the number 11 machine has his nose out front right now.
Yeah, Chris Darling led that lap by 8 1/1000ths of a second. Himmelman looked like he had a run on CHOCANO, but CHOCANO threw the block and that checked Himmelman up, and Darling came through the middle 3 wide. Great move to put Chris Darling in the lead. Now he's getting pushed by that driver he just passed, Andrew Himmelman. And John Doble coming through with them. That top line starting to stretch it out a little bit, but we've seen the lanes go back and forth, and it's really hard for either one to get an advantage because just like that, somebody ducks out of line, and that's Andrew Himmelman in the number 8. Looking for the leads, the side draft by Chris Darling, but it looks like Himmelman will lead this lap.
Now it looks like Andrew Himmelman will indeed lead the lap. So again, musical chairs up at the front, different leader, pretty much lap after lap is a little bit of a bump there between the 11 and the number 8. That's always sketchy here at Daytona. You don't really want to bump draft here in the corner, Mitchell, because it can go wrong in a hurry, but luckily Andrew Himmelman able to keep all 4 tires underneath that Chevy Silverado and is out front right now.
Yeah, Andrew Himmelman really got squirrely. I think Chris Darling looked in his mirror and they didn't really have any help as they were going through that corner, so it was trying to push that high line through, but oohs, another bump in the corner from Chris Darling gets Andrew Himmelman squirrely. Great job hanging on to it. Is now Darling looking up the middle. Ooh, that's going to be tight. Is now JT Poole going to... Oh, and they're wrecking behind him. That's Jeff Wyatt in the number 86.
Yeah, Jeff Wyatt goes around. Oh, man. Hits the number 14 of Stephen Ford, your Pole Award winner here tonight, brought to you by Bam Auto. And let's see what happened. We were looking a little bit further up at what was happening up at the front, and we thought maybe there was going to be an accident between Chris Darling and the cars, but let's keep our eyes here on the number 14 of Stephen Ford. Let's slow this down. We don't exactly know what happened. Ben Adams looks like he might have got a piece of it as well. Here comes the number 2 of White. Wow. White just able to squeak on through there, but Ben Adams and the 86 there, both with damaged race trucks. Looks like the number 5 is going to have to use a faster pair as his engine was smoking. Same thing with Jeff Wyatt and his machine. Let's see if we can figure out what initiated this accident here, Mitchell, because it definitely was something between the 86 machine and maybe the 5. Let's put this in slow motion one more time here, Mitchell.
Yeah, we're watching that 86, the third car on the inside. So we watched that move. Chris Darling tried to get up the middle. Jeff Wyatt kind of got down on the apron of the track. Ben Adams might have just thought he was clear low and kind of tagged the right rear corner panel of that 86. It might have just moved down the track a little too much, and a lot more trucks involved in that wreck than that first one we saw, Peters. That one was a violent contact for the 86, and again into the infield wall. Definitely need a faster pair after that one.
Yeah, the good news is I just don't think there was a whole number of trucks involved. Looks like just 3 with the 5, the 86. You see the 5 and the 86 both hitting the wall very hard, and then the 14 just kind of got tagged as well. I'm sure the 14 will come down and use a faster pair as well, but that is unfortunate. Only the second caution flag here tonight at Daytona International Speedway, however, and there is Jeff Wyatt sitting in his pit box. Not sure if he had to take a tow back to pit road or not. Getting word that indeed the 86 did have to take a tow back to pit road, so he will fall 1 lap down. Meanwhile, your race leaders are on pit road, and JT Poole overshot his pit box. What about Chris Starling? Did he overshoot his pit box? I don't know. Might have overshot his pit box, but if he didn't, it was close in that number 11 machine. But the leaders all coming down pit road here on lap number 21.
Looking at the replay back, Peter, I can confirm that Chris Starling did overshoot the pit box on that stop, so rough luck for a lot of the leaders as JT and Chris both overshot him. And coming out of pit road, might be Ben Mashburn, looks like maybe up in the lead. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing Colin Ullery up front in the number 62 machine right now. So it looks like the SimShots number 62 will lead them off pit road. Andrew Hibbleman, Alonso, CHOCANO, 1, 2, and 3. There's CHOCANO in third. Then Jason Gracia is coming out fourth. He's picked up 14 positions. And in fact, looking at your top 4 right now, Ullery's gained 12 positions from where he started. Andrew Hibbleman's gained 12 positions from where he started. CHOCANO's picked up 16 positions from where he started. And Jason Gracias has picked up 14 positions. If you were to sum those all up, 54 positions gained from the start of the race just inside the top 4. That is really, really impressive right now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of guys moving up through the field. A lot of guys making those aggressive moves we've been oohing and awing at during these first 20 laps, and that's got these guys up front. I don't think anybody inside the top 5. Oh, Ben Mashburn started 10th, but other than that, everybody in the top 5 started outside of the top 10. So a lot of guys moving up, and definitely going to watch for more of that as guys going to be coming from the back. And we've seen guys, Peter, hanging back in the back we've highlighted. When do you think those guys will start making the move? Because we've definitely seen our fair share of wrecks in these first 20 laps, but also a lot of guys just now getting up there, so you don't want to start that move to the front too late here, or you might not have time to make it work.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see when these drivers do make that move. But, there's still plenty of time here, Mitchell, to kind of make your move, get into the right spot to try and win here at the SimShots 150 on 3 Wide TV at Daytona International Speedway. We will see here tonight whether or not we get one of those Beer Street Journal's last calls. We'll just have to figure it out, but big shout out to all of the series sponsors here tonight on 3 Wide TV. We did have, folks, under this caution flag, we did actually get a lucky dog, and of course that's brought to you by our friends over at JR's Mobile Detailing Award. By the luck of the yellow, the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery is now back on the lead lap thanks to our friends over at JR's Mobile Detailing. So Jeffrey Vickery going to line him up here for the restart, back on the lead lap. We'll see what he can do in his threat level midnight machine, but the pace car heads down pit road. And Mitchell, back to the green flag.
Yeah, and SimShots racing teammate's going to lead you to the green flag. Colin Ullery took the outside lane on that restart. We talked about that outside, getting good jumps on the starts. Not really surprising to see Ullery take the top, as he's going to have Ben Mashburn pushing him through turns 1, but great resurgence from Andrew Himmelman in that 8. I thought Ullery was going to pull it out, but Himmelman pushed by CHOCANO, really pulled out, and they're bringing Chris Darling and JT Poole, Max Grafix Racing teammates, behind them.
Yeah, and of course, Andrew Himmelman is one of those GTR Simulators drivers. He owns a GTR Simulators setup, and he is currently out front, but for how much longer? Christopher Darling, the number 11, the Max Grafix.co machine right there, has the Autism Awareness Be Kind machine, trying to get himself up to the front right now. Once again, he's led quite a few laps here in the opening stint of this race. It's going to be close at the line this time, but it is Andrew Himmelman with a push from the 05 of Alonso CHOCANO and the 62 of Colin Ullery, your reigning series champion here in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series in the National Sim Racing Association. He's in tow right there on the high line, so a lot of fast trucks right there at the front of the field as we head down the backstretch here at Daytona. We got a quick look at someone in turn number 2. Wasn't sure who that was. One of the trucks possibly off the pace, getting word that it's the number 2 of Justin White, who has lost the lead pack as of right now. But one thing I'm noticing here, Mitchell, Jeff Wyatt has returned to the racetrack 2 laps down. Ben Adams has not returned to the racetrack in the number 5 machine. Wondering if perhaps that number 5 machine's night is done.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd already used his fast repair. We talked about him having missed that first wreck, maybe accidentally left it unchecked. Not quite sure what's happening with that number 5, but looking back out front, Chris Darling and Andrew Himmelman still side by side. And it looked like the front 6 or 7 cars had gotten a lot of separation from the rest of the front pack, but now as we look back at it again, everybody kind of right back together as Chris Darling a little bit up the track, and man, that was close. And that's great anticipation by those drivers on top, because that inside line kind of got squirrely and moved up, but drag racing down the front stretch, it looks like Darling going to lead another lap, but it's just been... I'd really be curious to see, Peter, the laps led, because it seems like almost every time by we're getting somebody new out in the lead. As there's contact between Andrew Himmelman and JT Poole. Himmelman and Poole both sliding into the infield, not seeing a caution yet on the racetrack, so they both kind of kept it off. But man, Peter, those are 2 drivers we've seen lead a lot of laps here in this race get caught in an incident as this race is staying green.
Yeah, that is an absolute shocker. Just maybe a little bit of a bump gone wrong right there, and making a little bit of contact with JT Poole. You see that number 26 going around. Great job by both of those drivers to save those trucks, but that is going to be really, really unfortunate for both of those drivers. Let's see if we can go on board here with driver of the number 26 machine. If JT Poole here on the 3-wide TV replay, just a little bit of a nudge gone wrong, I think. Kind of lost control, bit of a wiggle. And look at all those trucks just go blasting on by the Irwin Tools machine. And really, if Andrew Himmelman has anything to say, I'm sure he'll be really apologetic in the SimShots number 8 machine. There he is running with JT Poole. We're back live. You see Ben Adams, looks like the number 5, finally able to make it out of pit road, but 6+ laps down in the number 5 machine. Meanwhile, back up at the front, a group of drivers unfazed by that contact. It is Christopher Darling and Evan Gilbert in the 28 machine. Remember, Mitchell, he was involved in the first accident here tonight, but the number 28 has made his way back up to the front, and he is going to push the number 11 back to the race lead.
Yeah, a great recovery from Evan Gilbert. Like we said, got turned around, caused the first caution, but right back up here in the lead is these drivers still side by side, really deep into the pack. Not really much change since that last wreck, but you gotta wonder, after seeing some drivers spin to the infield and really well out of this lead pack, are these guys keeping that in mind and maybe lowering the aggression level just a little bit as we ride on board with Chris Darling? Really side by side. Ben Ashburn got up the track a little bit. Man, they're just everywhere, Peter.
I think the answer to that lowering of the aggression, I think the answer is no, Mitchell, because we got a side-by-side battle for the race lead once again with Alonso CHOCANO on the inside groove. You see his paint scheme very, very similar to that number 97 machine, who's leading the outside who are not leading the outside train, but it's the third truck in line on that outside groove. The number 97 and the 05 there, who's leading the inside groove. So you got to think that Tellier and CHOCANO here probably going to start working together at some point here tonight as we close in on the halfway mark. It'll be halfway, not this time by, but next time by, as Evan Gilbert in the number 28 machine involved in the first accident here tonight. He's going to drop to the inside of the racetrack in front of Alonso CHOCANO, and he's going to try and lead the field here around at Daytona as we close in on that halfway mark.
Yeah, that's a move we've been seeing a lot of tonight, that just kind of push somebody out front and then duck down below them and make that pass. Is Darling still going to lead as he's got Tellier, I believe. Really hard to tell those two trucks apart. Yeah, that is Mike Tellier in the number 97 pushing him to the lead. And then that very similar truck of Alonso CHOCANO pushing Evan Gilbert down on the inside is 3 wide, possibly down the backstretch here.
Yeah, looks like that 05, well, I thought it was CHOCANO that was 3 wide. Ooh, there might have been a little bit of contact there between Evan Gilbert and the 24 Ben Mashburn. And they sort things out as they head off into turn number 3. We mentioned it, that 3 wide here at this bumpy version of Daytona is not exactly the thing you want to do. We go on board here with the number 28 of Evan Gilbert. Right side of your screen, there's the number 52 of William Kirwan, who's finally working his way up to the front of the field. He's been up there in the point standings, Mitchell, and we know he knows how to get the job done here on these super speedways, so he's starting to climb his way up. But folks, just watch how bumpy it is here through turn number 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I was looking while we're riding on board here. There was a little bit of contact down that front straightaway through the tri-oval. Dalton Hayes got put up into the outside wall. I think Shane Ledoux, I believe, is the driver of the 12. Either way, there was some contact, and Dalton Hayes now finds himself with a blown engine. So unfortunate for the driver of that number 47 here. But that battle for the lead still not going away as Tellier's gone to the inside. And is that Jason Gracias we haven't talked about much tonight, up from 18th. That's 15 positions gained for Gracias in the first 30 laps of this race. So definitely great run for a lot of these drivers. As yeah, we're looking back. What do we got on the replay here now, Peter?
Oh man, we're seeing Dalton Hayes in the Ron Hornaday throwback getting turned up into the outside wall right there. And that is a pretty hefty hit. Let's see if we can get another look at that one here on this cam. Like you mentioned there, Shane Ledoux in the number 12 machine comes down the racetrack, hooks the 47 up into the outside wall. Kablamo. That number 47 going to have to limp it back to pit road. The Sherwin-Williams number 47 machine. Tough break for Dalton Hayes as he is on pit road as we speak. There is the number 12 machine also involved in that incident right there. He's got some damage, but Dalton Hayes has used that fast repair, and he's headed back out there onto the racetrack. But he's going to fall 1 lap down to your race leader, Chris Darling, who's right in front of the number 34 of Robert Kenny, right there. You see Robert out back of the number 11, who we ride on board with. And now look at the 52, William Kirwan leading that inside groove right in front of last week's race winner, Mike Floppy Tellier, right there in the number 97 machine. And behind him is the number 1 of Gracias. We're tight as we go off into turn number 3 between the 52 and the 14.
Yeah, and I think there was more contact somewhere in the back there. I'm going to look at that and see if anybody was caught up in that. But we talked about him earlier tonight. Matthew Rodriguez in his first career start in the NSRA GTR Superspeedway series. He's kind of up inside the top 5 now, so definitely showing these guys he's here to race and having a great night so far as we're about halfway through this race. Chris Darling seems to have led most of these laps once the race went back green on the last start, and running that high line and making it work, as it seems like that inside lane just can't quite get formed up enough to make really a significant run at that leader, as guys kind of almost look 3 wide. I can't tell as we're looking. The inside lane gets a decent run down the straightaway as there's Alonso CHOCANO kind of falling back. We saw him battling Darling for the lead a few laps ago, kind of mired back in traffic, maybe looking 3 wide here. Ooh, there's more contact there on the outside, Peter. Is the battle for the lead's going to continue now? Chris Darling, again, still leading the back. A little bit more of a run now. Trying to look, I think that's Steven Dosiak Jr. maybe on the inside. Great run from that inside lane now. Looking for the lead. Drag race down the back straightaways. There's a slow car on the apron, I believe. And yeah, that is Steven Dosiak Jr. leading that inside lane. Came from 20th at the start of this race, up 18 positions as that run kind of went away a little bit here. But definitely more of a challenge is they're going to have to negotiate their way around a lap car here pretty soon.
Yeah, that is the number 2 machine. Be right on board with him right here. Justin White, who is having the field catch him very quickly. He's going to drop to the inside of the racetrack here down on the flat portion called the apron. You're not used to racing terms. That's what we call the apron of the racetrack because it looks like the apron of a bed or whatever. Anyway, right now it is Chris Darling and Steven Dosiak. 1-2. We got a little bit of a blinker there with Matthew Rodriguez having some connection issues in his number 57 machine. Well, it looks like they get everything sorted out as we have 25 laps to go here at Daytona in the SimShots Racing 150 here in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. Link in the description here tonight, folks, to GTR Simulators. Make sure you check them out. They have some really awesome products. And if you're like me and you're in the market for a sim rig, well, go check out GTR Simulators because unlike a lot of the other simulators where you have to add on monitor mounts and all that stuff, GTR Simulators provides you a monitor mount included in your package and included in the price, and it is a fantastic price for what you get. And I gotta say, I've been looking at those GTR Simulators and thinking about using that GTR Sim code that you can punch in there for a little bit of a discount. Really, really cool that they have jumped over here on 3Y TV and sponsored the National Sim Racing Association and the Super Speedway Series this season. As you see, William Kirwan, they're almost getting into the number 34 Robert Kenny there, Mitchell.
Yeah, tight racing up front as it looks like Steven Dosiak Jr. stuck his nose out in front of Chris Darling. Will he be able to lead this lap? It's going to be really close here coming to the line. No, Chris Darling will still lead that lap. But you're looking back a little farther in the pack, and those drivers I've been keeping my eye on is that 971 of Nate Maurer and that 77 of Doug Neal. Those teammates, I've noticed them kind of a little running just outside the top 10 most of this run, but definitely keep your eye on those two Simbox Racing or Simbox Motorsports teammates. I don't know which one it is, but a lot of drivers here as we look a little back. We've seen a little more single file now. The inside lane kind of coming back into play a little more as the lead pack might be catching Andrew Hamlin. I couldn't quite tell from that picture. Anyways, I'm all over the place tonight, Peter. Anyways, Steven Dosiak will lead the field this lap, takes the lead from Chris Darling, and he's got the 52 of, who is that? William Kirwan pushing him. Great run on the top from Chris Darling through turns 1 and 2. Is Darling getting help from trying to see who that is? That is the 52 of William Kirwan trying to make something happen. Is Kirwan actually... No, never mind. My scoring hadn't updated. But Chris Darling now nosing his way back out into the race lead. But Steven Dosiak being pushed by Evan Gilbert, who we talked about, a great recovery after spinning around during the first caution. Now Dosiak back out in front. These drivers doing a really good job racing clean. I feel like the aggression is still there, but we're not seeing as much of the 3 wide. Oh, there's contact. That was a weird noise my throat made. But all the big ones happening here at Daytona.
That is the big one at Daytona. My goodness. That is a whole bunch of trucks torn up here, folks. And it started right up at the front of the field. Let's see if we could figure out what all went down, because this one just involved a heck ton of trucks, and we got them all wadded up here at the front of the pack, unfortunately. Let's see how this all started. Let's slow this down into 3 wide TV slow motion. It happened right behind the 55 of Steven Dosiak. Right here, the number 28 of Evan Gilbert goes down onto the flat side of the racetrack, and Kirwan comes down the racetrack. There's contact between the 52 and the 28, and that's a shame because Gilbert was involved in an earlier accident. There goes William Kirwan going down the racetrack in the number 52 machine. The 28 still going around. Look at Rodriguez getting involved. Looks like the one of Gracias got a piece of it as well in his machine, and Gracias going to have a heavy hit with the inside wall. Mike Tellier involved, Alonso CHOCANO involved, the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery caught up in that. Look at William Kirwan getting to the side of Matthew Rodriguez. There's the 62 of Colin Ullery getting involved. My goodness, folks, that they just wadded them up here at Daytona.
That will definitely take some trucks out of this race if they haven't used their fast repairs. I know the 86 of Jeff Wyatt, we've seen him get into that wall before. He just got bounced off by that number 34, but that was a significant amount of trucks got involved in that one. Is really, once 3 or 4 trucks got wrecked, there was nowhere for a lot of those lead pack drivers to go. As you can see, everybody just piles into that wreck. A lot of good trucks taken out, and we're going to see how much that thins down this front pack, but that did help a few drivers out there, including Andrew Himmelman and JT Poole. We talked about them wrecking earlier. I believe their trucks are both still clean, and so that'll put them back up into the mix with, wow, Jason Gracias took a hard lick off that inside wall.
Yeah, he definitely took a really hard lick. Let's see what happened here to the 62 of Colin Ullery. Really nowhere for him to go. And the racetrack, luckily for certain drivers like Doug Neal and Nate Maurer back there, they were kind of able to squeak on through without the track being blocked, because the track by that point was completely clear. Let's see if we can go on board here with driver of the SimBox number 77 machine. On board with Doug Neal right here. Track completely blocked at that point. See all the smoke. And all of a sudden, the track is completely clear. So yes, Mitchell, that took out a lot of trucks, but luckily we still have a couple of trucks out there without any damage. And I know we still got some trucks with fast repairs to use. The bad news, folks, is for some of the drivers, they don't. They do not have any fast repairs left. I'm talking about the number 28 machine of Evan Gilbert. We know his night is more than likely done. I'm talking about the old guy racing machine of Jeff Wyatt. We know he's used his fast repair. He's sitting on pit road right now. His night basically toast now at this point, Mitchell. He's got a ton of damage on the OGR number 86 machine. He's used his 2 fast repairs, or his 1 fast repair, excuse me. And I'd be surprised if he can get back out there and run at speed here without losing a lot of laps.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of the aggressive racing with about 20 laps to go. A lot of those guys just in the wrong place at the wrong time with absolutely nowhere to go. We saw, like, Doug Neal got really lucky. The track cleared for him, but a lot of those guys didn't quite get as fortunate as that and just nowhere to go but right into the wreck. And that's going to end the night for a lot of drivers we've seen mixing it up front here tonight. Looking back at the lead pack now, we've got Justin White. He's lapped down. He's going to pick up a wave round here. But Stephen Ford, I believe your pole sitter, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but he beat Chris Darling out of the pits, and he'll take over the race lead from Darling, who will be restarting in second. Zach Howell, don't feel like we've talked about him much. He started 5th, but he's now in the 3rd position. John Doble, he's been up front all night. And Stephen DOSIAK Jr., he'll also round out the top 5 here, but getting ready to go green. Pace car lights are off. And 20 laps to go, Peter. It's about to get aggressive.
Yeah, you see Justin White getting one of those JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Awards. I think he was also the lucky dog on this caution. I could be wrong, but he's going to get one of his laps back in the number 2 machine. But you mentioned Stephen Ford getting back up to the front, Mitchell. Look at those pit stop times. Chris Darling had a 14.5. Ford there having an 11.9 second stop. John Doble having an 11.3 second stop. Zach Howell having a 10.8 second stop. And then you have Doug Neal, Stephen DOSIAK back there. You got Kyle Lewis. You got JT Poole with a 40-second pit stop. Colin Ullery with a 14-second pit stop. You got a couple of trucks who definitely took 2 tires, like Stephen Ford, but then you have a lot of trucks taking 4 tires under this caution flag. So I think those drivers who took 4 tires, even if the caution flag comes out again, they are not going to put on 4 tires here in the closing stages. But that is exactly how Stephen Ford has gotten himself back up to the race lead. As the pace car lights about to turn off here at Daytona once again, and we're about to go back green after big one number 1 strikes here tonight. Will we have a big one number 2? Would that make it the big 2? I don't know. But pace car headed down pit road, and we're about to go back green here at Daytona, Mitchell.
Yeah, Chris Darling with a great start on that outside lane. Both the drivers on that front pack kind of got separated from their pushers behind him, and we're going to see who can manage to get the push. Zach Howell trying to get to the bumper of Stephen Ford, but it looks like Chris Darling going to stick his nose out with John Doble pushing him. Andrew Himmelman, we talked about, wrecked. He's right there, 4th car in the outside lane. JT Poole also there. He's the 5th car's Poole moving up the track, but down the backstretch, it looks like Darling going to stick his nose back out up front, going to be able to clear the 14 of Stephen Ford, your pole sitter for this race lead, but definitely not the last pass for the lead. We're going to see is if the way the race has gone tonight's any indication, we're in for quite a show coming to the end of these last 17, coming to 16 laps.
Yeah, that is absolutely sure, folks. We do have an obligation here on 3Y TV that we do need to do, but you get to enjoy it at home. It's the JKR Motorsports Crank It Up here on 3Y TV. Enjoy the sights and sounds of Daytona here for a lap or two. Well, folks, they wadded them up here during the JKR Motorsports Crank It Up, and they were cranking up the intensity here, folks, for sure. But unfortunately, they cranked him up a little bit too much because it was Chris Darling in the number 11 machine went for an absolute ride in his machine. And let's see if we can break down what happened here in this 3Y TV replay. Mitchell, a lot of good trucks here wadded up at the front of the field, including the driver who's led, I believe, the most laps here tonight, the number 11 of Chris Darling. Looks like Andrew Himmelman involved, Doug Neal involved, the 37 of Howell involved, but Darling gets a big ride in his number 11 machine going up and over.
Yeah, big wreck. Big impacts for both Doug Neal and Chris Darling, as we've seen some pushing in the corners tonight, and it's gotten drivers squirrely. That was definitely just a little more than the 11 truck could handle, as Andrew Himmelman trying to push that middle lane through as we're going on board with Darling. Yeah, it just goes around and, oh, grab your... Well, that was definitely interesting. I don't even know what I was going to say, but... yeah, just a lot. I wonder how many times he went over, Peter. It's definitely one of the most I've seen.
Yeah, that definitely was not a good one. Let's see if we can go on board here with the 77 of Doug Neal, who was your race leader when this accident happened. Was just pleasantly going along down the highway at Daytona and just gets thrown up into the outside wall. And that is one heck of a ride on board with the number 77. He landed on his wheels. That's the good news if you're Doug Neal, but that's about the only good news for the number 77 machine. Let's see if we can get a look on board with the driver of the number 1 machine in all that madness as well. That, of course, being the number 1 of Jason Gracias, because Jason Gracias got a windshield full of Chris Darling, as Darling came down the racetrack here, Mitchell. This is going to be pretty scary, and I'm sure Jason Gracias is pretty glad that this isn't real life here on 3Y TV. Here we go on board. Look at this, look at this, look at this. There's the 11 truck, and it kind of looked like the 11 bounced over, but there was definite contact between those two right there. And unfortunately for a couple of the trucks it will probably be game over. But it looks like somehow, some way, the Juan Gracias was able to squeak away without any damage on the discount tire truck here in this particular incident as he works his way back out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, getting some confirmation now. It looks like Chris Darling, who led a lot of laps tonight in that 11 truck, has pulled to the garage. His race over tonight, Peter. Also seeing Ben Adams, our in-race reporters, also pulled it to the garage for tonight's race. So far, that's the only drivers I'm seeing confirmed to be out of this race after that, but definitely just a lot of trucks taken out. Heavily damaged as we look again at Chris Darling just go end over end through that turn.
About Alonso CHOCANO in his machine here. Let's go on board with Alonso. This is going to be a very impressive look because he goes down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, keep going through the grass and able to squeak on by. That's one way to avoid all the carnage, that is for sure. Great job by him to kind of sort everything out. Looks like Doug Neal, the 77 machine, kind of pulled off the racetrack. Looks like he might have had to take a tow back to pit road. Just checking in to see who is our lucky dog under this caution flag. Might take me just a minute here, folks. Just bear with me for a brief moment here on 3Y TV. It might have been the number 15 of Jason Shue, but I'm not exactly 100% sure of that. It might also have been Justin White. In fact, I think it was Justin White here looking at the live timing and scoring. So Justin White here going to pick up a JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award here under this caution flag, and by my math, that will get Justin back on the lead lap. He was a couple of laps down a couple of laps ago, but now he is your JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award under this caution. So congratulations to Justin White. He's been battling his way back after all this madness.
Yeah, and speaking of battling back, a driver we haven't really talked about again that much tonight, Kyle Lewis, up leading this race right now, is the pace car lights, I believe, are out. And we're getting ready for a restart. Kyle Lewis took the top of the racetrack, and Nate Maurer is going to be starting in second on the inside. Your defending series champion, Colin Oler, is going to start fourth, who will be pushing your leader, and Stephen Ford, your pole sitter, is going to be starting in third. Maybe some names we haven't talked about a whole lot tonight, Peter, finding their way up here after that big wreck late in the race.
Yeah, those big wrecks taking out some of the key contenders here tonight. But Kyle Lewis, Nathan Maurer, you mentioned it. A couple of drivers that we haven't really mentioned here tonight now leading the way as we have just 11 laps to go. Kyle Lewis in the 18 might have spun his tires a little bit, but he got a little bit better restart than the inside groove down there, and the number 18 machine with a little bit of help from the rating series champion, the number 62 of Colin Ullery, to the front here at Daytona, and count out league newcomer Matthew Rodriguez, the Steak and Shake number 57 Toyota Tundra, running that high line. He is trying to get himself his first career victory here in the National Sim Racing Association and his first career start here in the Superspeedway Series as we go three wide. Kyle Lewis in the 18 in the middle.
That'd be quite the way to kick off his National Sim Racing Association careers. There's another wreck in turn 3 and 4. JT Poole, Nate Maurer, can't see who else. Looks like, was Kyle Lewis your leader going into that restart in that? I think he was, Peter. Another big wreck late in with about 10 laps to go.
Yep, they were three wide, and we mentioned it earlier. You do not want to be three wide at this version of Daytona. You just do not. And unfortunately there, it kind of ended up going all south pretty quickly. Let's see what happened here. The 971 and the 18 make contact. We'll put it in 3-wide TV slow motion right here. Nathan Maurer, the 971, goes up the racetrack, impales the inside wall, gets absolutely launched up into the air. Look at the 34 getting clipped by JT Poole. Shane Ledoux plowing into the 26 machine right there. That's a tough break. Look at all the trucks on the right-hand side of your screen. John Doble, the number 3, going down into the grass. Oh, nowhere for Jason Gracias to go. Steven DOSIAK in the 55. He's going to scoot on through. The 14, Stephen Ford. You think he's out of fast repair? He was your BAM Auto Pole Award winner at the top of the show. But man, oh man, another big accident here at Daytona. That was pretty crazy. Let's go on board here with the driver. I think he was able to squeak on through yet again. On board here with the number 97, a Mike Floppy Tellier. He goes down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Big slide out of that number 97. But last week's race winner squeaks through yet again. That is quality wreck avoidance by the number 97, the Canadian driver out of Sarnia, Ontario. Squeaking on through here at Daytona as you see the carnage in turn number 3 and 4.
Yeah, just once again, not really anywhere a lot of those drivers could go. So we saw some more great wreck avoidances. We're riding on board with someone. I didn't quite catch who that is. Oh, just the track closes up and there's nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers, and we're going to be restarting again. And just late in the race, the aggression, it's been high all race, but especially now, that aggression, just nobody wants to let off. Everyone wants to get up there toward the front. Just, man, barely any contact, but it was enough to initiate another huge wreck here, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, oof, man, Nathan Maurer, I think, getting hit right there at the end by his teammate, unfortunately, Doug Neal. Let's see if we can get one more look with driver of the number 26 machine. Where is the number 26 machine? Here we go, on board with JT Poole, and Poole just got clipped right there. He was almost through it, just got clipped by the number 18 machine. And then just getting absolutely launched by the number 12 of Shane Ledoux. There's the 34 going backwards on the racetrack, driven by Robert Kenny, also a newcomer to the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series, but he is hopefully not going to have all too much damage on the number 34. I'm sure he will come down pit road and get as much damage repaired as possible. But with 9 laps to go, league newcomer Matthew Rodriguez in the number 57 Steak and Shake machine is out front. Zach Howell up there in second position. Zach qualified inside the top 5 here for the SimShots 150 here at Daytona. He is backing that up with a solid run here tonight. Then you got Colin Ullery, Alonso CHOCANO, and Mike Tellier inside your top 5 as well. So you mentioned it there, Mitchell, that, it probably wasn't going to be the last time that we see a yellow. It wasn't the last time we see a big one, but the big one's causing some new faces up at the front, which you absolutely love to see. You love to see these drivers kind of come out here and put on a good show and have a good showing here at the Superspeedway series, like Zach Howell is having here tonight, Matthew Rodriguez, Colin Ullery, Alonso CHOCANO, Mike Tellier, Dalton Hayes up there inside the top 6, Himmelman, Steven Dosiak, Justin White, and Robert Kenny rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, it's been a race kind of survival, and these drivers we're seeing up front now, these are the guys who really did a good job just pacing their race. Maybe some of them mixed it up front, as there are some faces we've seen up front, but a lot of these guys, I think, kind of come from a little bit farther back and just some great wreck avoidance and saving that fast repairs we talked about. Now, with about 10 laps to go, 8 laps to go actually, out in front for what could be one of our final restarts. I'm not going to say it's the final restart because definitely there's a lot of time left for stuff to happen, but Matthew Rodriguez, we talked about, first career start in the National Sim Racing Association Superspeedway Series presented by GTR Simulator, and he's out leading the race with about 7 laps to go on the restart. So watch for him to be aggressive, looking to win his first career start here as they're getting ready to go back green.
Absolutely. In the chat, Garrett Gleason saying Floppy has a few pals up there. Let's go. John Canizaro in the chat here tonight. My, oh my, it is going to be a wild final 7 laps. Green flag back in the air, and it is Rodriguez who leads us back to the green flag. Alonso CHOCANO in the number 05, giving him a big push. I'm sure we'll see the 05 and the 97 get together here. Hopefully not causing an accident, but at 57, my oh my, Rodriguez just all of a sudden looked like there was a parachute out the back of the number 57 truck, because the inside line led by Zach Howell looked like it got shot out like a cannon on the flip side. He's going to get pushed to the race lead with the 62 of Colin Ullery in tow. And here comes Mike Floppy Tellier trying to battle for the 3rd position in the 97 to the inside of the 57. And he's got Andrew Himmelman back behind him.
Yeah, your defending series champion Colin Ullery just did a great job pushing Zach Howell out in front. As now that high line is coming back, though, led by Matthew Rodriguez, pushed by Alonso CHOCANO. They don't have as much help. They're not quite as formed up as the inside is, but definitely getting a great run as they're going to be nose-to-nose into turn 1. This race definitely not over. As a lot of mixing up, going kind of a little farther back around the top 5 or 6 trucks, but definitely that outside lane hasn't gone away as they're right there down the backstretch for the race lead.
That they are. We go on board here with Alonso CHOCANO giving a push to the back bumper of Rodriguez. Rodriguez here starting tonight on the inside of the very last row, almost starting shotgun on the field in that number 57 machine. But he is battling for the race lead, coming to 5 laps to go. You see those trucks slicing and dicing with one another, but that time by it was Zach Howell by just fractions of an inch. But we have caution flag here at Daytona coming out once again.
Yeah, that was a little bit farther back as we were riding on board. The 34 of Robert Kenny is who we're looking at. JT Poole took it 3 wide coming through the tri-oval, and Kenny just got up, or I can't really tell if Kenny moved down or JT moved up, maybe a little bit of both, but definitely had a coming together there on the front stretch.
Yeah, let's see if we can dial up that replay for you here on 3 Wide TV just a little bit and see exactly how that all kind of went down. We're going to have to probably put this one into 3 Wide TV slow motion because there goes the 26 down. That is JT Poole, and I just don't know if there wasn't enough room there, Mitchell. I think that's kind of one of those racing deals, but unfortunately that little bit of contact, Robert Kenny getting quite a bit of damage on his Toyota Tundra, but might have just, it looks like he just kissed the outside wall. It was pretty close there, but good job there by Robert Kenny to not make that any worse than it needed to be.
Yeah, and looking now, kind of getting confirmation from the league, JT Poole getting the penalty for causing that wreck, so it looks like the league admins have ruled that there wasn't quite enough room for that move, but as we're riding on board, really, I'm not even sure he got that much of the outside wall, just a little bit of left side contact, but really good piece of driving to, like you said, that could have been way worse than it was, so great driving by the driver of that number 34 there.
On board with Steven Dosiak, he says, you know what, I'm just going to go down here to the basement of the racetrack and, almost killed the green cone. There goes the pace car. Drove through the pace car like that, and the number 55, but he's going to get away with no damage. So Steven Dosiak here with a shot at taking home the win. We are back live here on 3 Wide TV up at the front of the field. We've got 4 laps to go, closing in on what might be a Beer Street Journal last call. If we go to overtime here in this series, well, we don't call it overtime. We don't call it a green and white checker. We call it the Beer Street Journal last call. Make sure you check them out, beerstreetjournal.com. If you're like me and you love craft beers or you want to know what's happening in the craft beer scene, Beer Street Journal is your place to check out. I just recently went over to their website and found out that there's going to be a new Founders Breakfast Stout later this year. And I am I'm already looking forward to it. It's not coming out till November, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Big shout out to our friends over at Beer Street Journal for sponsoring the National Sim Racing Association, along with all of our other series sponsors. Bamauto for sponsoring the Pole Award. We saw that go to the number 14 machine here tonight. JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award, which I believe will go to Jeffrey Vickery under this caution flag. We'll have to check that or not. Max Grafix for sponsoring the Hard Charger Award. Make sure you check them out, maxgraphics.co, as well as facebook.com/MXGRAFX. JKR Motorsports, also check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/JKRM21. As well as our friends over at SimShots. You can also look them up on Facebook as well. Sponsoring tonight's SimShots Racing 150 here at Daytona International Speedway. And we haven't mentioned it here tonight, Mitchell, but also William Kirwan gives away a prize at the end of each one of these Superspeedway races. Unfortunately, William Kirwan, his night is done here He was up there in the point standings, but his luck runs dry at Daytona. He's going to be credited with a 25th spot finish tonight. Ben Mashburn in the number 24 machine. We spoke about his bad luck last week at iRacing Superspeedway, where his race didn't last but 7 laps. Well, again here tonight, 2 weeks in a row, Mashburn will be credited with a last place finish here in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series. Talk about bad luck there, Mitchell.
Yeah, especially for William Kirwan, your driver who came into this race third in the points. Definitely not what he wanted to see in just the 4th race of this season, but pace car lights are out and we're getting ready to go green. Zach Howell this time going to lead the field to green. He took the bottom, I think, after probably a good move after the way Colin O'Leary was able to push him out front on the last restart. Matthew Rodriguez still on the outside, but he'll be starting second this time, and Alonso CHOCANO will be pushing him. And you talked about those similar paint schemes, Alonso CHOCANO and Mike Tellier. They're going to be bumper to bumper, second and third car on the outside. So watch for them to maybe make something happen as we're getting ready to go green.
So this will not be a Beer Street Journal last call. This is a natural 2-lap-to-go restart as Zach Howell on the inside. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin out of the outside groove. Oh, man, a little bit of wheel spin further back. Kyle Lewis in the number 18 might have got on the gas a little bit too hard as well. He got into the side of JT Poole, but they're able to keep it all going straight. 2 laps to go. If we can get back to the start-finish line and see the white flag, we will see no Beer Street Journal last call here tonight. But that outside line trying to get wound up as Alonso CHOCANO trying to push Matthew Rodriguez to the front in the number 57 machine. Halfway down the backstretch, 1.5 laps to go at Daytona.
Yeah, and now that 57 of Rodriguez there for the lead, side by side with Zach Howell's gonna get his nose out in front as they head through 3 and 4. Look at Colin O'Leary right on the bumper of Zach Howell through the turn. Same with Alonso CHOCANO up top. Howell going to stick his nose out in front as they come to the white flag. It looks like we're going to make it. This will be the last lap of the race.
Indeed, it will be. It will be the last lap here at Daytona. White flag waves, and the number 57 and the 37 locked in a battle for the race win. Who will get the win? Look at O'Leary pushing the 37 machine. O'Leary trying to get a sniff of the race lead, trying to get down below the 37 machine, but nothing going just yet.
As they head down the backstretch, it looks like a battle between the 57 and the 37 for this race lead as they're bumper to bumper, several rows deep. Rodriguez sticks his nose out, thought about sliding down. He will slide down in 3 and 4. Matthew Rodriguez takes the lead. Zach Howell, I can't even tell who that is. They're coming to the line. They're wrecking behind him, but it looks like Matthew Rodriguez, in his first career start, will pick up the win here in the National Sim Racing Association.
Unbelievable. From 25th to 1st, picking up the Max Grafix Hard Charger Award. In doing so, Matthew Rodriguez goes to victory lane. Colin O'Leary gonna come home in 2nd. Zach Howell in 3rd. Last week's race winner, Mike Floppy Tellier, gonna come home in 4th. But there was carnage back behind them. A couple of cars went spinning late in that one. My, oh my. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here to Alonso CHOCANO in his truck. Here's the mad dash to the line. The 05 gets thrown up into the wall, comes down into Steven DOSIAK, and he gets launched onto pit lane in his machine. He will not be a happy camper, but a lot of other cars getting involved in that accident right there at the end as well. Let's see if we can figure out whether or not Matthew Rodriguez is doing any donuts or anything. There he is on your screen, going to victory lane here tonight at the famed Daytona International Speedway on his debut here in this series. Very, very impressive. He was pretty patient here tonight, Mitchell. We didn't talk about him early on, but at the end of the race, he was there when it mattered.
Yeah, it definitely took his time and made sure to avoid the wrecks, and that's going to get him the W here tonight, as he'll become the 4th winner in 4 different races. Winning in your first start, that's not a bad way to enter a new league, Peter.
I would say that is the best way to enter into a new league, especially in a super speedway series where you don't always expect to just jump in and get to victory lane, as sometimes these races can be a little bit of a crapshoot, if you will. But that number 57 machine showing us how it's done right here in the infield, burning it down, trying to toast the motor with a little bit of grass here in that number 57 machine. Really impressed with the drive out of the Steak and Shake Toyota Tundra here tonight, and he definitely will be one happy camper, that is for sure. We're going to see if we can get some of those post-race interviews lined up for your folks here on 3 Wide TV here in just a couple of minutes. And I'll tell you what, Mitchell, just a really fun race here tonight for basically everyone in the whole field. It was one of those races where you just really couldn't figure out who it was that was going to win until right there at the end.
Yeah, definitely a nerve-wracking race for all those guys behind the wheel, but definitely some of the most aggressive races and the most fun races. A lot of lead changes and a lot of side-by-side racing throughout the race, and overall they put on a great show for us. For the amount of aggression we had, we definitely could have had a lot more cautions, so we got treated to a lot of really good green flag racing tonight. But again, just that battle for the win, we got a 2-lap shootout to the end. Didn't quite get one of those Beer Street Journal last calls, but coming to the line, they were still wrecking side by side. I think they were 3, maybe 4 wide, but man, that was quite the finish to this 4th race here in this GTR Superspeedway series.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely was definitely one of the more interesting ones here on the channel. And I believe we have picked up everyone here to talk to here on 3 Wide TV after the finish. Let's see if we can dial up our 3rd place finisher. I believe Mitchell Adams has caught up with Zach Howell.
Yeah, Zach Howell, this is Mitchell Adams in the 3 Wide TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, man.
Definitely an exciting race with a lot of action we saw tonight. What was your strategy coming into this race?
Hope and pray. There's no strategy with this bumpy place. You just hope you're in the right place at the right time.
And what were you thinking going into that last restart with 2 laps to go? Did you think you had a shot for the race win?
Yeah, I did. Colin was behind me. We've worked well together before. We just got pulled apart there. I think coming out of 2 onto the back stretch, and I just got too big a run, and he cleared me. Started to block him, but stayed with Colin. I thought we might get a push back. They hadn't been that well together up there up top, so just didn't work out, but it is what it is.
Next week, the series is heading to Monza. Do you plan on showing up for that? And if so, what do you think about that race?
I actually only ran street stocks there. I can only imagine what this will be. When it was there, it's kind of chaos, but we'll see what happens with these.
Well, thank you for stopping in with us, and good luck next week, and have a good night.
You too, man. Thanks.
All right, well,
That
I was going to say that's going to do it for our 3rd place interview here on 3 Wide TV. Let's see if we can get tonight's runner-up, Colin O'Leary, up here into the booth. Colin O'Leary, Peter Short, 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, that number 62 SimShots truck trying to go to victory lane in the SimShots 150 here tonight, coming up 1 spot short. Tell us about your night here at the very bumpy Daytona.
Well, we were pretty much mid-pack and to the front, and I was just not comfortable pushing, so I was trying to stay about there and just bide my time. But whenever Zach was in front of me, I felt really comfortable with him and was able to push him really well. And unfortunately, I couldn't get him to the win, but got him to 2 and 3, so it worked out pretty okay.
Well, that it did. Definitely a great run for you here tonight, and the number 62 machine. A couple of races here into the championship. What are you thinking about in your title defense here?
I just can never get anything going in these trucks lately. It's been they drive a lot different from the Cup cars, obviously, and yeah, they're just changed, and even in the truck series, I just cannot get anything going lately. So that's all we're trying to do right now, is just get good finishes and hope at the end of the season we can get a win or 2.
Well, next week we go to another very bumpy super speedway and a very different super speedway. And that we go to Monza. What are your thoughts about going to Monza with these high horsepower trucks?
I'm actually not sure if I'll be at Monza. I think I go out of town on Thursday sometime. So sadly, I don't think I'll be there. But I drove Monza's oval before. It's very tight. It's very, very bumpy. It's very old. I would love to be able to race it, but we do go back to it later in the season. I should be there, so I look forward to that.
Yeah, indeed we do. Definitely we'll be missing you in the number 62 SimShots F-150 next week. But before we let you go, Colin, any shout-outs?
Yes, to you guys up in the booth, Buck Kicker, SimShots, and GTR Simulator as well. And for everyone for watching. And that's it.
All right. Well, Colin, congratulations on tonight's runner-up position here at Daytona. And we'll see you next time here on the channel, probably tomorrow night, for the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series action here at the National Sim Racing Association. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our second place finisher. I believe that Mitchell Adams has caught up with tonight's race winner for the first time in race number 1 of his National Sim Racing Association career. Matthew Rodriguez there, Mitchell.
Yeah, Matthew Rodriguez, this is Mitchell Adams in the 3-wide TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, you put on quite the show for us there at the end in your first career start, getting the win. What were you thinking going into those final laps of the race?
Oh my god, I'm gonna wreck. And I'm gonna take the entire field on broadcast. And I was like, this is not the greatest idea.
Definitely was a lot of wild racing. What was your strategy and thoughts going into tonight? What did you expect from this race here at Legacy Daytona?
Realistically, we knew going in it was going to be a bumpy race, since obviously that whole bottom line is just all potholes at this point. Came into the race, no strategy, just figured, hey, hang in the back, wait for the wrecks to die down. Hopefully don't use your fast repair too early, and I got involved in that late wreck around lap 40 and had to use a fast repair. And at that point, I figured, well, I mean, it's go or go home time, and might as well see if I can just make it up there before I get taken out in the giant accident. And lo and behold, the final laps to the race, I kind of had the help of both Radius Racing and Total Nonstop Racing, where pretty much they were just completely just coaching me through the final few laps of do this, do that, just make sure you hang tight, and they just kept screaming at me, just keep steady, keep steady.
It definitely did a good job throughout the race. In the end, we highlighted you a few times, kind of slowly worked your way up, kind of from the back of the field near I think maybe you were on the last row, but definitely a great showing. And do you think we might see more of you here in the National Sim Racing Association GTR trucks?
Oh, absolutely. Just from the one race that I kind of spent here, I mean, it's awesome. The set was a little bit loose today, but I think that's kind of adds a little bit additional fun for it. Definitely looking forward to Monza.
And what are your thoughts going into Monza? Do you think we might see 2 in a row from you there?
Not a chance. I'd be lucky if I don't get implanted in a guardrail.
Well, thank you for stopping in, and go celebrate your win some more, and see you next week at Monza.
Thank you very much, Mitchell.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it with tonight's race winner on his debut here. Matthew Rodriguez in his number 57 machine. Really impressive for him to get the job done. Winner on debut here in the Truck Series here in the National Sim Racing Association. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's final race results for all of you folks back at home. They should be popping up here on the screen. Indeed, they do. Matthew Rodriguez, Colin Ullery, Zach Howell, your top 3. We just talked to them. Mike Floppy Tellier there in 4th. Dalton Hayes coming home with a solid 5th place finish to really highlight the 47 here tonight. But he has had some rotten luck in the Copart machine over the first couple of races. Lucky enough to turn that around here tonight. Kyle Lewis in the 18 was involved in a big accident as well, but he was able to sneak away with a 6th place finish. Nathan Maurer there in 7th, JT Poole in 8th, then Andrew Himmelman and Justin White rounding out your 9th and 10th spots. Big shout out to Matthew Rodriguez for also picking up your Max Grafix Biggest Mover of the Race Award. Make sure you check them out on maxgraphics.co. That is their website if you want to get a very slick painted scheme here in iRacing, or maybe some other graphic that you want, because I know, Mitchell, I know you've run those maxgraphics.co paint schemes before, and they look really slick on your trucks, but why don't you take us through 11th through 20th?
Yeah, Stephen DOSIAK Jr. will finish in 11th. Jeffrey Vickery, 12th. Robert Kenny, we saw him up toward the front late, but he'll end up 13th. Jason Shue, 14th. Alonso CHOCANO, after being up at the front for a lot of the race, going to end up with a 15th place finish. Not what he wanted to see, and that'll round out the drivers who finished the race on the lead lap, I believe. Jeff Wyatt finished 6 laps down, 16th place. So was your pole sitter, Stephen Ford, in 17th. John Doble ended up 10 laps down, finishing 18th. So were Shane Ledoux and Doug Neal, finishing 19th and 20th.
Jason Grassi is finishing 12 laps down here tonight. Chris Darling, 15 laps down and 22nd. William Kirwan, 20 laps down. He parked it with Evan Gilbert, also finishing 20 laps down, with Ben Adams in that boat as well. Ben Mashburn in the number 24 machine for the second week in a row, finishing shotgun on the field, having some rotten luck right now in that number 24 machine. Ben, I'll let you know that maybe you should bring out the Bet Angles truck. It's been giving you a little bit better luck over on the Friday Night Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Maybe that Jeff Gordon throwback is just not doing it for you anymore there, buddy. Just an idea. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. And that number 24 machine might give a little bit of a different look. We will wait and see. But Mitchell, any final thoughts about tonight's race?
Yeah, we saw a lot of just great racing tonight, a lot of aggression, and going into Monza next week, that's another track that really is going to allow for a lot of aggressive driving, and I think these guys put on a great show tonight, and I think they'll do the exact same thing next Thursday.
And they'll also do the same thing right here tomorrow night. Mitchell, hopefully we will see you behind the wheel tomorrow night here on 3Y TV. We go to the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. We will have the Sim Box Button Box 250 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Like I said, it's going to be hot, Atlanta. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. It's going to be a lot of fun right here on the channel, 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, June 4th, 2021. Mitchell, I think that's going to do it for us here tonight on 3Y TV. Big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we brought you here tonight at Daytona International Speedway, and we'll be having those Sim TV camera angles tomorrow night as well at Atlanta. But for myself, Peter Short, Mitchell Adams, and everyone else on the 3Y TV team, have a great night, stay safe, and we shall see ya!